I've been party to the sinister agenda against Zuma and can only apologize for that. I'm not saying I'm suddenly his biggest fan, but it's time to admit I've been party to the unfairness along with my colleagues, with many of my colleagues, I should say. These aren't my words. These are the words from the Citizen newspaper's editor, Steve Mutale, who joins us now to discuss an extremely interesting article entitled, "I'm Sorry, President Zuma." And obviously something led you to doing this, because prior to that you were actually the political editor at the Citizen.
Yeah.
So your role on reporting on President Zuma was massive.
Exactly.
And obviously, you know, your angles were of utmost importance, and they judged by us, and it almost creates how we perceive the president. What happened though? I think the big question is, what led you to being so brave, I suppose, in how you think that what you've done?
Let's first have a look at what I've mentioned in the column itself. The Judge Hilary Squire's judgment. You know, after the judgment itself, we in the media peddled lies that the judge said Zuma and Sheikh had a corrupt relationship between the two. It took the judge himself, in a very, very unprecedented move, to clear himself. And this is my point. When the judge did that, he was ridiculed in the media because he was telling us what we didn't want to hear. That this is not what I said. Go and do your homework. Instead of doing introspection, we went for the judge. He was cartooned. He was the Mambara of the week. The reason being, he was telling us something that we didn't want to hear. And these are the same people who claim to be messengers of truth. Yeah. How can we portray ourselves as messengers of truth when we are allergic to the same truth that we claim to be portraying? Yeah. That is my point. And even after the judge had cleared himself, we still went on with the lie of this corrupt relationship between Zuma and Sheikh. It's not about the judgment itself. I used Jacob Zuma as an example of how we peddle lies, and our unbias, and our bias. I just used President Zuma. Let's look at Nkandla itself, for instance. You know, I was on another TV station last night, and a youngster, Stephen Huertas, boldly said Zuma spent 250 million on his private Nkandla home. You know, he's stating it as a fact. Yeah. Where does he? What is the basis of his argument? Can he really point to Zuma's involvement in Nkandla? This is what we are trying to do. Yeah. Hence the Public Protector's report, the SIU report, and the minister's own report. Nothing so far. But the fact of the matter is, we want to go at all cost and link Zuma to that. It's not yet coming, but we have painted the guy as having been the mastermind behind the corruption that went on there. Yeah. This is unfair. Angle that we are pursuing relentlessly is to link President Zuma to the corruption there. Nothing wrong. Let's come up with evidence. This has not been happening, but the perception, the message that has been sent out there to the entire public is that Zuma had unlimited access to the treasury and took more than 200 million and spent it on his private property. This is the message that we have been spreading. We have been fishing for evidence. It hasn't been coming so far. But we are trying relentlessly to link the man himself to the corruption in Nkandla. Yeah. I agree. There's a lot of money that has been spent, and of course in the midst of all this poverty that we have highlighted. Yeah, yeah. But then, let's do our homework. We are the watchdog. Let's play our role. Let's investigate. If you want to nail the man, let's come up with facts. And let's not invent them.
I asked the question a little bit earlier, but perhaps it was lost in your answer. But have you been pressurized by the ANC?
Not at all. Look, I have been the biggest critic of the ANC. And
will you continue to
I will definitely continue to play my role to make it a point that they are held accountable. The ANC is the custodian of the public purse by virtue of being the ruling party. Now, we've got to ask questions. They've got to account on how they spend public purse.
Yeah.
And I will continue to do it. Not with any particular agenda, by the way, in the interest of truth.
Do you not think, in a way, that by doing this you may have upset citizen readers that have been reading your newspaper for all of these years, and you yourself now are admitting that it was actually a bunch of lies that were in the newspaper? Do you not think that this will ruin people going forward, and perhaps sales of Citizens will decline? Because it is all about sales after all, isn't it?
Well, it is about sales, but to me, truth matters. Truth matters. I will never sacrifice truth on the altar of commercial gain. Anybody, and I'm still challenging people, go and read out what I've written there. I've even mentioned names. I've mentioned the wrongdoing on the part of the Citizen. Look, I've said it. The Citizen has been promoting the DA. My predecessor, for instance, immediately when he retired, he became a DA councillor. And this is the same newspaper that has been condemning the ANC for cadre deployment. That is a classic case of cadre deployment on the part of the DA.
It is. From your basic perception of how reporting is done on President Zuma, why did you do this?
Look, Leon, I did a lot of soul searching, and I had a lot of weight on my shoulders. And based on the history of the Citizen itself, and how it supported the official opposition, that has been a lot of weight on my shoulders. And I did a lot of introspection. And I said, you know what, I need to clear myself.
Yeah.
I had my own perceptions about the president. I've said it in the column there. The fact that he was not educated. The fact that he has multiple wives. I mean, to a clever black like myself, I couldn't perceive that particular individual becoming a president of the country.
Yeah.
So that particular perception influenced my writing. And I said, you know what, let me say sorry to the guy. It is very, very difficult to extract an apology from an editor or from a newspaper. It takes tons and tons of courage. I said, you know what, let me do this, and I'll deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.